A quick shout out to the soundtrack by Wendy Carlos.
I love it.
8-track.
That's
You know,
so cool.
and by the way, think about this. In my Chevy van, hey, let's pop in the Clockwork Orange
Ooh,
soundtrack.
that's oh wow.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
What's up, everybody? Yo! It's one fucking hour time. That's right. This is the show where we talk about one goddamn movie, and we have just one fucking hour to do it. And of course, I'm Evan Husney, and we got with us, as usual, Big T, Tom Fitzgerald. T, what's going on?
Hey there. Just reminding folks, I had a Mandela effect. I was sure we did A Clockwork Orange in the past, and I guess we didn't.
We did not. And we're doing it tonight, of course. But before we get into that, all the way to my right, we got Mr. Marcus Herring. Marcus, it's almost your birthday.
It is. It is almost my birthday, and we are going to almost announce the pick tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
After much conclave.
Yes, yes. It's Conclave 2 around here.
The black smoke went up.
Yes, yes. Yes, actually, Conclave is Marcus's pick, which is very exciting for his birthday.
It was between that and the Pope Must Diet. Right?
Oh,
And the two popes.
right. The two popes, right.
It was one of the Pope movies.
Right.
Right.
No,
I was already
Gone
going
with
to do
the
a Pope
Pope?
movie, but then
Yeah, we figured we were going to do it. Gone with the Pope was an option.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the Pope films we'll get to. But no, Marcus still in the deliberation silence chamber, figuring out what his birthday pick's going to be. But let me tell you, the options are all great. So whatever you pick, I'm excited for. So, you know, whenever you do, or if you have to, you know, see what the, you know, groundhog sees its shadow or whatever the fuck, you know.
well, it's been really helpful to go down through the YouTube comments and so I can cross off the ones that people guess, so we don't have to spend that $200.
$200. There was the $200 contest. If anyone can guess what Marcus is going to pick, it's still active, I guess now. So it's been extended.
Some really good guesses so far.
It has. So it's been extended. So you have another week to guess what Marcus might pick for next week.
Has anyone gotten close?
I'd say,
or like, you know, like within the 5.
I really feel seen. People have put out choices of movies
nice.
that I like and have talked about, so I definitely feel seen and
That's really
appreciate
cool.
that.
That's
So
great.
thank you.
That's a birthday gift in and of itself. Okay,
It is. I'm almost like, do I even need to pick one now? Let's just move on.
Right. All right. Well, with us, of course, wouldn't be complete without a film involving some sort of trauma or, you know, of some kind, or reprogramming, brainwashing. Actually, we had our last week's episode was brainwash themed, you could say. And so here we are continuing that theme, but here to do it with us is Rémy Bennett. Well, Rémy, welcome back to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thanks for being here. So appreciate you being back for this. And as Tom mentioned, we're doing for episode 136, we are covering another Kubrick classic here, because if you shout out to the archives, previously we've done The Shining with Rémy. You were on that, I believe, right? Of course.
Yep.
And then we did Eyes Wide Shut. Were you on that one? No, you weren't. Okay.
No.
So we've done both of those. They're in the archives, so check those out. But tonight is Clockwork Orange. Of course, something, we've just been wanting to cover for a very long time, and took us 136 hours to get there. But here we are. So, all right. But before we do that, guys, we also have to give a quick shout out to the 1 fucking hour, because it's very special what's going on right now up in the Patreon. The 1 fucking hour Patreon is where you can sign up for just $5 a month, patreon.com/1 fucking hour. It's the best way to support the show. If you love what we're doing, and you want to hear us talk, if you like us talking about movies, you want to hear us talking more about movies, you can go up there and you can support us. But we have a very special bonus episode that we just dropped. I believe that was a few days ago, as we're recording this, which is finally our watch along Pizza Man Pizza Party, which of course is the Bill Maher noir from 1991. All 4 of us sat down and watched the entire film.
I'll follow them. Oh, holy shit! Turn it up right now. Dude, this is what's up. Pizza Man.
Whoa.
Pizza Man 2020. Whoa! Oh! Here comes the wrath of Bill.
Oh!
Right in the baby maker.
Oh my God. Oh!
Holy shit.
What?
You like smashed your face in?
really
Wait, I'm sorry.
This is
Take a step back. This is the scene
No.
where Bill Maher beats a woman to
Wait,
death.
wait.
It's the longest scene in the movie.
Well,
And we had never seen it in its entirety, so you get to watch us watch the whole movie. You don't need to
Right.
find the movie. You don't need to pre-watch it. It's already there for you. So
press play.
you hit play and you hang out, you order some pizza, and you watch the movie
Pizza
with
Man.
us. Yeah, so Pizza Man is up on the Patreon right now. Or if you are on YouTube and you want to keep all your bonus content there, just go to our channel homepage, find the join button, click that, and it's just $5 a month, same price, same benefits, and you can watch it that way as well. So thank you to everybody who signed up thus far, and supporting the show and supporting everything we do here. So keeps the lights on, as we say. So thank you very much. So, all right, the Patreon. All right, guys. Is everybody ready for the hour? Is everybody ready?
Start the clock.
Should we
Start the clock.
All right, let's do that. I'm gonna get
Love it.
Gonna get it ready here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Locked and loaded. All right, Clockwork Orange. Typical, it's kind of customary here on the channel when we cover like a big monster title like this that's very ubiquitous that everybody knows and is very familiar with. We kind of do away with the synopsis, which I think makes a lot of sense. I mean, most people have seen this film or are familiar with it, so we're just going to get right into it. But we're also going to do it somewhat in the tradition of ways that we've covered also well-trod upon films, like Taxi Driver when we've done, or when we've done Goodfellas, or there was another one recently that we did, a Scarface.
Was about 45 minutes on that weird clown dancing.
Yeah, right, Octavio the
It
Clown.
was, we call it detail core.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
when it's ubiquitously in the ether of public consciousness,
Right.
we decide to drill down a bit. So we're going to do a session of that somewhat here.
Yeah, so exactly. So this is deep cut details. That's how we're going to start things off here. So Tom, give us an example of what you mean by that.
Right, exactly. So this one always caught my eye. It's later in the film. It's in that second half, and he's gone through the cycle of being released after having the Ludovico treatment, and he meets up with his old Droog buddies, and they happen to be cops.
Yeah.
And they happen to be brutal police brutality cops, and they dunk his head in the water.
Yeah.
But what the detail is in that moment always got me was Kubrick's choice was every time the Billy Club hits down on Alex when his head is underwater, it goes
Yeah.
it's like
blasts.
hardcore synth blasts of Wendy Carlos's work. And I just always thought it's like psychedelic violence, you know? It's like this big trippy, like violent attack. Like, check it out.
That's pretty cool.
That's my detail.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's something like you would see like in Sledgehammer, perhaps. Maybe you'd see
Absolutely.
that utilized.
100%.
Actually, can I just tag in? I was going to pass to our guests, but can I tag in because mine is actually
Yeah, please.
just before that moment. So one of my pet, I can't even call it a pet detail because honestly, I hadn't seen this movie in 15 years, maybe more.
I know.
So rewatching it with fresh eyes, I was like, because I've always, not to get ahead of what we're going to talk about, but I've always kind of been like, oh, it's such a stepped on movie. And, people in my millennial snooze generation, I feel like commodified this movie as what we call like a dorm room movie, poster movie, but it's so much more than that. And when you see it with fresh eyes decades later, you're like, holy fuck, this movie really is powerful, still over 50 years later, and it's the choices and everything. It's obviously, it's Kubrick, it's incredible,
Yeah.
but I mean, man, what a great movie. It's the most obvious statement of all time. But one thing I did not remember at all, rewatching it, and this stuck out to me as something I know we're going to want to talk about, was shortly before his ex-Droogie buddies show up as the cops, you see him being accosted by the homeless tramps. The guy that he actually beat up earlier in the film, and then all of a sudden he leads them into that bridge underpass, and then all of the homeless tramps pounce on him. But it's this amazing frenetic editing of just the close-ups of all of their faces, kind of mirroring that hyper editing style that like the trailer has or earlier moments in the film has. And it's amazing. It's so cool. And just what a cool choice, and
I totally picked up on that too. Because truth be told, I have this book here that's amazing. I recommend it to everyone. I think it's a little pricey, but to the point, what I'm saying is this book methodically has a still for every shot of A Clockwork Orange. Okay, so to my point, and to speak to what you're saying, Evan, this great scene, since it's a still per shot, every single shot of those crazy hobos beating him up, you see it, and you know what I thought of? Eisenstein.
Oh yeah,
actually, like Soviet.
Yeah.
Soviet editing.
Yes, totally.
It reminded me too of he was a photographer. Just it because, like you're saying, the choice to have them all be close-ups and all these really grotesque faces in a frenzied pace of editing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Very cool.
Amazing.
Very cool. And Marcus, Rémy, you got one?
I'll go. Well, let's see. This experience of watching it this time is much different than I always ever saw this on VHS. And shout out to my dad for showing me this when I was like 8 years old.
Oh yeah,
probably first boobs I probably ever saw in a movie. Where
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
But a totally different experience watching it in the post Blu-ray world. I never saw it in a theater or anything. But one detail I never noticed: the costume, of course, is iconic. Everyone. It's a great look. I never noticed the detail of the little body parts on their outfits though, and specifically that on his sleeve is that eyeball,
the eyeballs,
which all of a sudden makes the eyeball on the poster is that, and I never knew what I thought the eyeball on the poster was a reference to the Ludovico treatment, but I guess it's a little reference to that eyeball on the sleeve. So
you're saying that primarily because you're used to it on VHS when seeing
on VHS you could never see that detail exactly. Right. Yeah, it was just like a blur or whatever.
Or the framing. I almost kind of feel like the framing of his films is always all over the map. They're never traditional aspect ratios or it's. I know he does work in the full screen sort of thing at some points, but I think most of the times you see those eyeballs, they might have been cropped out. I don't know if that's true by the full screenness of tape, but
there is just because I'm totally with you on the eyeball. If people want to check out what he's saying, there's a great shot when Alex gets back and puts the droogs in their place, and he throws them in the water, and he cuts the fat guy. And there's a close up of him withdrawing the knife from his cane.
Yeah, I love that.
You get a great shot of the eyeball. Because just to be clear, the eyeball, it's insane. The design, like all of the design of the droog outfits. The white outfit, but then there's this like sort of gore movie like special effects gore of an eye like embedded in like blood.
Right. Yeah. It's
incredible.
It's
There's a really nice close-up.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And what you're saying about the aspect ratio too is sort of a weird point because I was expecting this to be like more widescreen,
it's not
on this rewatch.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up and they were saying that he had so many problems with projection in 2001 and that like 70 millimeter giant that scared him away from doing those huge formats and just that's why this one stuck to like a really tight, basically Academy frame.
That's what it is. Yeah. Right. So, Rémy, you got one. I know it's not necessarily your wheelhouse to, with those micro details, but
what'd you think about the aspect ratio?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have a lot to say about that in comparison to 2001, but I think in terms of the detail, this is just something that I noticed that for some reason, a distinction that I had never noticed before in terms of the production design, how specific the choices are delineating between Alex's more working class parents with like the kitschy interiors with like the velvet 1960s paintings and that very like pop zeitgeisty mod 1960s almost tacky aesthetic, and then the aesthetic of like the cat lady's house and then the writer's house with the Singing in the Rain rape, and the way those sort of bourgeoisie intellectual artists and their sort of like domains are production design. When I was younger, I kind of melded those aesthetics together, and I thought it was really interesting.
There's a big distinction. There's a big class difference.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and those class distinctions, like in the way he represents them visually, became a little more
With
like
set design.
prominent.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so
But also, Rémy, you too, I know this was a film introduced to you by a parent as well, right?
yes, and my dad actually like he's a little upset with me because he's a huge 1 fucking hour fan.
He is. Shout out.
And he's like, God damn, he's like every time you're telling people that like I showed you this horrific stuff, but
Yeah, he's like, they're gonna come and get me. He keeps saying
Yeah.
they're gonna come and get
Child
me.
services.
yeah.
The statute of limitations is passed now.
Right, exactly. But I also once again had the Laserdisc because he had his Laserdisc collection. So
Yes.
before I watched it, it was that thing. You know that thing that feels really forbidden when you're a kid before you get to see what it is. The images you get to interpret what they are, and
yeah.
sometimes even what you're interpreting sometimes can be, I don't know, more viscerally provoking in a way than even watching the movie itself. And I just remember seeing those images on the back of the Laserdisc with like him licking the boob, something with like the ball in a girl's mouth and like the mannequins, and just having that in my head.
They're making it like as lurid as possible on the
right.
packaging.
And it felt like, I don't know, something the most like sexual, gross, like evocative. I don't know. Just those images were so evocative.
And I got to say, one thing that's been always catching my attention, this is 1971.
Yeah.
This film is rated X, but I've been going through old newspapers looking for other stuff, and Clockwork Orange pops up. So like in Knoxville, Tennessee, this played theaters, and you just have to take a step back. And all I'm saying is nothing anywhere looked like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Exactly.
Like at all. Like it just the whole aesthetic of it, the whole tone of it, the whole, hey, you know, when you hit someone, a huge moog like stab happens, like nothing's, there's no stylistic equivalent.
I know. It's
No.
all being
not
made on the fly.
Yeah, it's like, and the thing that kind of weirdly works is it is set in the future.
Yeah.
So that kind of works. So it's like sort of like this snapshot of like 2001. And
Yeah.
I've always heard this. You guys will probably all heard this. It's like maybe when they're out in 2001 in outer space, this is what the Earth is like.
Right.
Like it's 2001
That's cool.
in America, on Earth. You know.
Wow.
And I was thinking also in terms of those parallels of those two movies, like he did this film, then this film comes next, and they're both sort of warnings, right, about potential harms of, you know, future maladies of like
Dystopian,
mankind and dystopia. But the approach is so vastly different, where people were so shocked when they first saw 2001, and it was that complete silence, that complete stillness, the wide shots, and just that sense of meditative vastness.
How about just the beginning? Like, let's do 20 minutes of no dialogue and just monkeys like behaving.
Awesome.
Yeah, and people did not know what the fuck to make
That
of
didn't happen either.
You know, and then cut to Clockwork Orange and all those filmmaking techniques, the speeding up the film, the handheld, and then the
wide
composition.
angle lens.
There's slow mo. You know.
Yeah, there's the beautiful slow mo, and how much that paved the way for every Danny Boyle.
I was gonna
fucking
say.
Requiem for a Dream.
I was gonna say.
Any kind of modern filmmaking came from this.
Yes.
I was going to say, like, so many filmmakers would not exist without this movie.
Even Wes Anderson, to a
For
certain
better
extent.
or for worse. I just want to say that, you know, because, you know, we'd get no Terry Gilliam probably without this. I mean, Monty Python must have been really influenced by this movie, I would imagine. I don't know. Like, the sense of humor. Like,
The
there's moments.
juxtaposition with the music, with something brutal
music,
happening, and
right?
then the musical.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lit motif, like a la M, by the way. Shout
That's
out to
true. That's very
Right.
true.
With us singing in the rain.
That's
in the lit
right.
motif.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. So anyway, but you were saying, you know, introduced to this, you know, at a young age too. It's like, I remember when I must have been, I don't know, 14, 15 or something, watching this movie for the first time. And I remember it feeling like this, maybe even younger, that this was the first truly crazy movie I'd ever seen. Like, is this what like adult films are, you know?
Right.
Or like films for adults? Because it's pretty fucking gnarly.
It's
you know?
scary. Like he doesn't read as a teen. Alex doesn't read as a teen. When you're a kid watching this, it just seems like he's an adult.
Yeah,
and
right.
Adults do
Yeah.
scary ass shit.
Yeah,
Totally.
right. So it was very, very upsetting, but also like, you know, exciting because you're seeing, you know, shit you probably shouldn't be. And, but But yeah, but like rewatching it, it's like I found myself much more appreciating, you know, the back half, if you will, because I feel like the back half of the movie has some truly amazing set pieces of just like incredible, I don't know, incredible filmmaking, obviously, but incredible performances too. Do we want to just get into one of these, or is that okay? Can we get into a set piece here, or is that okay? Sure. So the one set piece to me that like really stood out as like a holy shit from top to bottom, and this is even the way how it opens is incredible. So again, this is right after the part that Tom mentioned. So after the zoink of the police batons, and he's nearly drowned in that bathtub or whatever it is, he wanders back to the home. He's wandering back to the scene of the crime, of course, from much earlier in the film, where he was, you know, raping the woman to Singing in the Rain, and of course breaking into the house with his droogies. But the steady cam shot of him as it's following behind him as he's crawling in the rain. In
Very
the
Jack
rain.
Torrance went in the labyrinth too.
Very much so. Very much so.
Just thought of that.
Crawling back into the house, and of course, but things are a little different in the house. You know, we see Mr. Alexander. He's in his wheelchair now, and we see he's got a very muscly helper.
He's got Darth Vader.
Right. Who's the actor Marcus?
Marcus.
I thought, I was gonna say, we agreed that I would handle all the Star Wars nerd things.
Yes.
That is in his right.
David
Go for
Prowse,
it. Take us to school.
Yeah.
The guy, the big hulking man with the glasses, is Darth Vader. David Prowse.
Right.
Whoa.
So he's got Darth Vader as his henchman. And it's weird. It's feeling like to me like a Hammer horror movie, but in a weird zoingy Clockwork Orange world. Because it's like now that he's become this kind of craggier guy in a wheelchair, he's kind of like this evil mad doctor almost. And this is like his henchman, you know? And he's bringing him back into this place. And the way that Mr. Alexander is behaving in this is so strange. The performance. I kept thinking also of David Lynch a lot in this movie. I don't know if you guys were picking up on that at all.
Yeah.
But like in particular with his performance, Mr. Alexander's performance was so exaggerated and over the top and dreamlike, if you will, for lack of a better term. Even the
Try some wine.
Try the wine.
yes,
Totally.
yes,
100% David Lynch.
yeah. Is the food all right?
Food, all right.
And you know that whole thing, and like his face is
The expressions.
The
He's like,
expressions, obviously, once he hears Alex singing in the rain in the bathtub, and his face contorts, and it's that low angle shot, and he's just like,
Well, shout out to Kubrick. Kubrick's got the camera with like a canoptic lens. Marcus.
yes,
You know, like a ultra wide, but in a handheld, and he's just between the legs of the actor, and it's such a brilliant. I'm looking at it right now, the still of it, and it's like and he's like it makes it so grotesque, and he just has the guy linger on having. It looks like an epileptic seizure. Actually.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's kind of, you know, again to throw to Shining, but I think you have that same.
Yeah.
shot
Well, that's what
in
happens with Danny when he gets trauma. His trauma, it like manifests in like an epileptic. So it's very similar.
Yeah, so that's scary and crazy. Then they brings Alex to the table, and he's feeding him spaghetti as he's watching him. This feels Lynch, man. It's so crazy.
Very Lynch,
And he's feeding him spaghetti and watching him and like, you know, studying him, and with this just horrifying look on his face. And then of course you realize that he's drugged the food, and then Alex falls into the spaghetti. And he picks his head up with all the meat sauce on his face. And it's just like that shot of the meat sauce face and his face and everything that was like, I mean, that shit, I wasn't dialing into that when I was 15. But now I'm like, this is like, I want this framed to my fucking wall.
I got you. And let's just do the math for 1 second, because I was curious just to what we're talking about. The movie's a bit bifurcated, you know, and like, of course, the first half is very, very famous, the heavy style, the Drew period.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I did the math, right? That's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
The remainder
It's like a feature-length movie.
It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's 90 minutes. So
Yeah.
and you know, and so it is good to not short shrift that part, because there's so much really special stuff in there.
And I think Kubrick. Oh, sorry, Marcus. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. I'll pop in after you.
I was just gonna say that I think it's also important because when Anthony Burgess talks about the inspiration for the book and why he wanted to touch upon the subject. It was because of the themes around aversion therapy that he actually had stumbled upon. And then he went to in the 60s he went to Leningrad, which is now St. Petersburg, and he was like observing this kind of like totalitarian communist society, and then there was an aversion technique that was being used, I think also in England. There was talks that this was a technique that might be used in a conditioning, like behavioral science kind of way. And he suddenly thought, oh my God, that's like the most disturbing idea.
Right.
That the government and institutions can start manipulating people's free will,
Minds,
basically, to sublimate them to become quote unquote good and eliminate their ability to make choices. And so that's really the root of like what he wanted to explore. So the first beginning of the violence is just kind of a precursor to explore the rest.
But what's interesting about that, though, is obviously, again, this film, the first 45 minutes, many of the things you're seeing on screen are pretty unprecedented, for a film at that time that you would see in like a movie theater, I would imagine, unless you're seeing
the sound of it, the Wendy Carlos soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying just in terms of the content, the hardcore shit, the rape and all that crazy stuff.
And it throws you right into it.
But what's kind of interesting about that is like, if you're saying what Burgess is trying to say or Kubrick with this movie is like, it is the threat of removing the free will. So we're going to show you this character who has the ultimate, I guess, free will in the beginning, right? Here's someone who's lawless and is committing all these horrible crimes and doing all these terrible things.
And there's a very controversial thing about that in a way, because here's my observation. I want to hear what you guys think. I was watching it today and for the first time in a long time. And I was thinking everyone is uniformly awful except one person. Take a wild guess who I'm thinking.
The priest?
No. Because what I'm saying is like everyone in their own way is awful.
Okay.
Like they're predatory, they're manipulative, they're creeps. But what I'm saying is the center of the film is Alex, and the thing is Alex is quite humanized in this film.
Right.
And the thing is, he loves music.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He loves, in a weird, sick way, he loves life
and language
and art and language and like having fun and you're right. Actually, using words like fluently. So he's got a poet soul, doing all this dark, ugly stuff. But everyone else is rendered as living dead,
lifeless,
bureaucratic people, scary scientists.
Malcolm McDowell commented on that, saying that his character had a certain joie de vivre that made you, attracted to him.
It's probably why he became a cult icon. Probably.
Well, he's like having these desires. Yeah.
Let me get specific about just what I'm saying about like how there's almost uniformly awful people in the landscape, except Alex, the cat lady that he attacks.
Yeah,
she's really not cool. Like she's very obnoxious. And, like, mean and and cutting, and she's using sort of class stuff like against
you commoner.
Get away from me, I'm a high society person. So anyway, it's just my observation that's, I think, to me the most controversial thing is to make the one full-blooded person in your film the person who rapes and kills.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And it is crazy. Just to
that point, there was another detail I noticed that like the Droogs are trying to convince him to like, now we're going to get the real money we have to go after and like steal cars, steal this. We can fence these items. Meanwhile, in the scene before, we saw him open up his drawer and he's got all the watches that he stole in there. He's not fencing them or selling them. He's just collecting them or whatever.
Beauty,
It's not about the money. And he's like, hey, what do you need? If you need a car, you just take it. Mm-hmm. He's saying like you just if you see something you need, pluck it from the tree, basically. So almost like a nature boy or something. Right.
Well, in like what you were saying, Tom, in a totalitarian society or a communist or an authoritarian society, like the whole idea is that like your sense of identity is completely drained from you, so you become an automaton that just serves like the greater purpose of whatever the government, right? And so he represents this like vital sense of like deep primal humanness that has all these beautiful colors and flourishes and desires.
Red-blooded, sexual, joking. But like you said too, I like that you said that. His language is fun because no one else speaks very fun in this film.
Well, and whenever they asked him something like, "Is that clear?" He's like, "Clear as an azure sky on a beautiful summer day," and you're like, "Whoa."
And everyone else is speaking like bureaucratically and like papers and scientists.
Well, he's got like a certain sophistication. He likes the classical music and the arts and stuff, and that fights against the idea that the criminals are all these, lower class people that commit crimes.
Yeah.
I think Kubrick was trying to actually draw a direct comparison to like the Nazis in a way, because they were appreciative of fine art, and like ballet and things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And Kubrick did say that Alex is supposed to be the personification of pure evil, but what he is preferable to a man that has no free will and becomes a machine and an automaton.
Right.
So basically the thesis, and Anthony Burgess said the same thing, is that like evil is almost better because it represents a humanness because
it's natural and it's real,
right?
And it's not artificial.
Because A Clockwork Orange, right? Like that term, A Clockwork Orange, is the Cockney slang,
right? So like in Biden's America, you're clamped down to follow the rules of the woke mind virus.
Woke mind virus.
Woke mind virus.
Right, Bill? Bill Maher?
Yeah.
It's funny because he does seem like
Donald Trump's Alex DeLarge.
So it is an interesting thesis because it is controversial to be like.
It is.
Well,
Inherently. Because the thing is, they could have made him like a sweet poetic person who's being controlled by the state, but he's evil.
Yeah.
Well,
Totally.
I think that's part of it. It's like he commented on this too. Like if he was just a normal criminal and you showed him you showed the Ludovico treatment and the cure for the crime, then you would obviously think he doesn't deserve that. They're going too far. They're taking away his free will. But it makes it really complex when you show someone that's savagely mean, horrible rapist, murderer, and you still can see how the government's treatment of them is bad.
Right.
That makes it more effective,
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally. And that's really the genius in this film, I think, and why, like, I know it goes without saying, but if you were to see, someone attempt material like this now, that it wouldn't have that sophisticated nuance, I feel like. But go ahead.
Oh, well, just one more point to that, because I think that he did have there was like a backlash to this film when it came out. And I think Kubrick was on the defensive about it. And a lot was from like, the more quote unquote like liberal aspects of society that would call him like a fascist for advocating for like a culture that would say that violence is like permitted,
preferable.
Right?
Violence is
There's a pretty great like New York Times article where he wrote like as a defense, like
the New Yorker one?
Is that I saw the New York Times, but it was like it was replying to a review, and a great point or a great just quote from him, because you don't really get a lot of times you don't get Kubrick's like answer to the film, but in this case you do have him talking about the themes that he wanted to represent. The great quote said, so far from advocating that fascism be given a second chance, the film warns against the new psychedelic fascism, the eye-popping, multimedia, quadraphonic, drug-oriented conditioning of human beings by other beings, which many believe will usher in the forfeiture of human citizenship and the beginning of zombiedom. I just love that quote.
Instagram.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I mean,
Yeah.
Kubrick invented Instagram too.
But I mean, but that's also like with Hal, because like the whole when AI what did everyone say? They're like, fuck, this is Hal.
We've seen these movies,
Yes.
And so it's kind of similar with this movie, because I was saying to Evan earlier, actually, I think like a misconception of this movie that it's all about like warning against like ultra violence and desensitization to violence. And there was that kind of scare about that, and that's not really what the message is.
No.
It's about conformity. It's warning against conformity.
Well, there's one. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just to put a bow on the controversy aspect, just a real quick is, it did lead to, of course, Kubrick pulling the film himself, because there was the copycat crimes that were being committed. People going out beating up homeless people for sport. Shout out to my John Tar fans out there. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that was that's what happens in the comic, if you can believe it or not. John Tar being inspired by Clockwork Orange.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really weird. But anyway, yeah, because there were copycat crimes, and so I think things were getting a little out of control. And this film wasn't even seen in the UK until
in the
after his
UK,
death.
it was he withdrew it. It still played the US, but he did decide, because that violence you're describing was a UK phenomenon. I just want to bring up something else that maybe can get us going into the
film,
the look, feel, and So to dovetail this, I just want to say that I think that in parallel with what we're discussing, it's happening in aesthetically, and it's also, I think it's controversial aesthetically too. So what I'm saying is the first 45 minutes is sexy.
Yep.
And it's shot wild, and it's like, I mean, look, there's a rape scene, but it's like got like great care and understanding, like the color scheme,
the
like
choreography.
right, exactly. The lens, and of course, Singing in the Rain being used. So that's like exciting filmmaking on like a primal level.
Yeah.
The violence happening to these innocent people.
The car,
but the second part is often very dry, and it's the equivalent aesthetically to the lifeless bloodlessness of authority in the form of like institutions, like long scenes of like so number 3, 5, 6, 7, he's in within the police or processing him, and and then of course the treatment. So I think that like the film gets kind of weird and bloodless in these long stretches.
I love it.
That aren't very sexy comparatively to the first part of the film. Yeah. And that's weird. Think about that.
Yeah.
The cinematographer gives a great interview talking about how it's actually divided into 3 sections, like color wise, and the first the first part's all vibrant colors, those like psychedelic colors. And then the middle part is all that institutional, desaturated, blues and browns and stuff. And then the third part is he goes back
to the real world,
to the world that we saw at the beginning, but now those institutional drab colors have infected the real world.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
It's very
cool. Yeah, but they're even in that institutionalized, or in the institution section, there is some interesting little pops of style that creep in. When he's reading the Bible, of course, and he's studying the Bible in the class, and he sort of sees himself as one of the Romans, or whatever, and he's slitting throats, or they're whipping Jesus and all that stuff,
and those are his amazing fantasies.
Which reoccur through the whole film.
Which I love
through the film. It's our way of sort of understanding what happens in the end, which is left ambiguous, but you can infer that maybe that side of him is still there.
He's back, baby.
He's back.
But those visuals, can we talk about all of those fantasies for a second? Just because, like, back to what you were saying, Tom, about this being unprecedented stylistically. I mean, of course, you had like Richard Lester, and I think that's kind of interesting too because of the 60s-ness of Richard Lester. I could see that Kubrick might even have been like. Because the book is 1962 and the movie's 10 years later. So in a way, it's kind of like taking that kind of filmmaking.
There's that kind of like Anthony Newley stuff, like British TV at the time too had that sort of like absurd.
The Prisoner.
Right.
Well, are you guys aware? This blew my mind years ago. I found out that Japanese art film, Funeral Procession of Roses.
Oh, the Funeral Parade of Roses.
Parade of Roses. The alternate.
Yeah.
He's always said that's his main influence, actually, stylistically.
Wow, that's so
and if you do look at it,
that's cool.
You really see parallels. Like he basically was cribbing. He was taking like copious notes when he saw this. Great, by the way, we should maybe cover it someday. Japanese art film, because that film is a very now thing, and also very Tokyo. I was thinking, Clockwork Orange is kind of like super Tokyo. On that 1971 American.
I could see it. I could see it for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally.
So like with the fantasies too, like how, like I love how that's a completely separate palette as well. Like that's like you were saying, you've got like all those different palettes, and how like doing that hyper kind of cutting, and then the that one shot with like the girl with the ruffled dress who's being like hung.
I love that.
I always love that shot.
Like the view from like she's falling onto the camera from the gallery.
I paused it today, and I think it's a guy. It's a male stunt performer,
really?
and I was wondering why all the Kubrick heads haven't gone like, what was Stanley implying by
God.
having a male stunt performer do this? You know what I mean?
Calm down, everybody.
That costume too. Like, okay, this is what I was trying to think about. Like the aesthetic world within his fantasy, how it brings in this like Caligula, Napoleon, Dickensian. Like, I really love that. Like at the end,
Medieval.
when
Yeah, it's
Dickensian
medieval.
people and the girls are wrestling or whatever. Like
It's kind of like a Roman orgy. Well, here's the thing, just to dovetail on what you're saying, the big first time you see the fantasy is after he's coming back from
I was just gonna
raping
say
and
that.
pillaging.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. All I'm going to say is, like he, what's great about Kubrick, this is why I love this guy, honestly, is because sometimes he just uses like trash elements. Like he just stole like 1 million BC, like a caveman movie, like for 2 seconds. And
Is
then
that
he
what
had
that
Alex,
was with the blue screen, the rocks
something
falling?
like that. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a trash movie. He just stole the footage like Kenneth Anger. But then also, he, to speak to what you're saying, he's got the villains of history in his mind, and he's like Dracula for a little while.
I
was gonna
love
say
that.
What I'm saying is, like, he's obviously like a B movie fan.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And that whole scene is so great. That scene when he comes back home to his bedroom. That's the moment when he sees, he's got the pet snake in the drawer. He's got those Jesus statues, that are in arms, and that's
Chorus line of Jesuses.
And of course, Rémy's dad has those Jesuses. Just if that says anything, are they the real? Are they the actual ones?
I don't know. We got to ask him, but
They
we should
might
take
be.
a pic. We got
It's
next
called
time.
like
we're-
Jesus
So.
Unlimited or something like that.
They might be the
I think,
real
or
ones.
Crucifixion Unlimited.
They're hanging in one of his rooms.
Yeah.
Also, there's that cute thing of like tomorrow's technology, and he's got like a DAT tape, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just that the Jesus statues and the penis statue are the same artist, and then the paintings that are on the wall of the cat lady's place is the brother of that artist.
I love those. I like those paintings.
Me too.
I
The
really
paintings
do.
are
I know.
very
The
hip.
mouth inside the mouth.
Yeah. Very hip.
Yeah.
Very, very, very
They
hip.
were very hip. Yeah.
But the again, just another weird Clockwork Orange influences, where you can see the traces of, films that were influenced by this movie. The vampire look, when you're seeing that, and then of course thinking about, that previous, home invasion scene. Martin, anyone? Did that not just ring a Martin bell? I don't know. For me, it really did. I was like,
Totally.
oh, he must have
I
loved
never would have
Martin.
thought of that. But
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially that really punched in fang face.
Yes.
shot in the fantasy. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So just moving through the movie, in terms of any other set pieces, we touched on the slow motion scene. Fighting when he's fighting his own gang members and kind of doing a Tony Soprano-esque moment, if you will, where he's kind of beating up the new guy at one point, right? To kind of show that he's not weak anymore. He's not weakened.
He's putting them in check.
He's putting him in
that's-
check. Yeah. Which is a great moment. And I don't know, guys, like any other set pieces you want to visit here?
I thought the record store is an interesting, like the 60s artifact, that is the, but I read it's the Chelsea drugstore, which is mentioned in the Rolling Stones song, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Cool.
And it was fun watching it. Another Blu-ray moment. I finally can see all the albums that are there. Before,
right.
there's the fake bands, of course. Heaven 17, the Humpers. Both of those names have been taken by real bands, of course. Now,
Goggly
the
Googoils.
Sparks. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Great names, but then there's also real albums which I didn't realize before. There's like there's that Keith Hartley band that uses the same cover as the Melvins album.
Oh yeah.
With the, and then there's
the Indian. Yeah.
there's two, right? The Indian. There's two 2001 records.
Yeah,
So there's like a fake
Very
one, and
cute.
then there's a real one.
Classic.
I
And
saw
then
Adam
there's-
Hartmother on there, I think.
Yeah, Adam
Think
Hartmother,
so, yeah.
Magical Mystery Tour. Unfortunately, Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young is in there.
Which
And then-
makes it, now that makes it, can I just, just 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That's what makes this particularly scary, because you could be stoned, go with your girlfriend, and after listening to Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, and Nash, go see this film.
Yeah.
Makes it scary for me. I just want to this is all I'm doing. I'm throwing out one thing.
Yeah.
The most incredible double feature I've ever seen in microfiche, old newspaper ads. There was a double feature of Woodstock and A Clockwork Orange.
Wow.
Just think about that. Just take a step back. That says it all, because
Yeah.
it's the friction of how this film is butting against, like, the
zeitgeist.
barefoot granola world,
That would be
Yeah.
insane. Yeah. And I think I also saw After the Gold Rush, I think was up there too. I think I saw that Neil Young was up there.
There was a
too.
T-Rex, a picture of Mark Bolan and T-Rex on the wall too, which is like, that's pretty cool.
And I love that place is a real place, because I used to assume that it was a set,
Yeah.
the record store. But he's right, that was just a working London,
That's so interesting.
place they filmed in.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is cool, just all of the, that he did shoot it all on location. There's only a couple sets. The
The
Corova
Molocco's made up, right? The
Yeah,
milk
that's,
bar.
yeah, that's one of the sets. But then there's only like the other sets, like the prison when he gets checked in, and then the
Wow,
hallway. The hallway for like the main house, where the rape happens and stuff. That's
a
the
real
only
house.
3 sets. Everything else was shot on location. He wanted to like shoot within an hour and a half of his home, and they just went out to find all of these old like
Love it.
modern, or
I think
brutalist pieces of architecture that they could
Yeah.
craft like a dystopian future on.
I think it's relatively lower budget for a Kubrick film.
Yeah.
It is.
Very much so.
And I heard that he was trying to prove that he could, because 2001 didn't make any money because it was so expensive.
Yeah.
And it didn't make money until like the re-release years later. So he set out to make a low budget movie. That was part of his
crazy.
goal.
Can I
to, like,
put it
prove that
this
he
way?
could. Yeah.
It's his Punch Drunk Love.
Yes.
Can I get an amen?
Oh my God.
No, but it is, because 2001 was his Magnolia.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Boogie
Okay.
Doctor Strangelove was his Boogie Nights.
Okay.
His
Sure.
Magnolia was 2001. You
This
guys
is
all know
insane.
you guys all out
Yeah.
there know what I'm getting
They
at.
know what that is now.
About how the box office worked and how it was received at the time.
Yeah.
So Clockwork Orange was like, all right, fuck them. I'm going to make a scrappy little thing.
Right.
It was like a quarter of the budget.
Yeah.
So then that means his There'll Be Blood is Barry Lyndon.
Oh my God.
All right.
And the Phantom Thread is The Shining. So there you go. Good night, everybody.
All right. See you later, everybody. Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Motherfucking God.
Just kidding. All right. So, I mean, do we want to just talk about? Obviously, it's one of the most iconic images in the film is, of course, Alex strapped to the chair with the eye gimmicks and being forced to watch all this crazy shit. But it's amazing. I mean, just seeing, of course, Nazi footage with Wendy Carlos's music.
God damn.
It sounds like his proto NES game shit. Thrown onto that, and it's just amazing. It's incredible. I love it. And then, go ahead.
Well, no, like just what you're saying is one thing that always fascinated me when I was a kid was like, what is he watching? Because there's the Nazi footage in the later segment of him, with the eyes out and everything.
Then there's the films.
But like, yes, but otherwise there were these weird loops.
Yeah.
There were these sexual, violent loops. Like, and I was like, is this a thing? Like, and I found in my adulthood that there is sort of a thing. Like, there are movies that sometimes exist mainly for like watching people get punched.
Oh, right.
Bloody pulp.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying is like
Roughies.
really grimy exploitation. Like,
Titillating, violent fetish.
just pure like like they're hour-long reels of just like of course really taboo like sex porno stuff from like
Live
1971.
leaks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I bought one once. It was just, I didn't know what it was, but it was a 16 millimeter film, and it was just some people pull up on a motorcycle, and the girl gets naked. She's on like a picnic blanket, and the guys are all around, and they still have their clothes on, and that's all that happens. There's no like
Right.
extra. It's very weird. Yeah.
Right.
Oh
It's
my God.
it's just the purity of that. It's just pure. He was watching. He was being forced to watch just total trash.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so there's another element of this film that I love that has like an exploit. There's like exploitation film is running through this a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's weird that they're all dressed like his.
I was just
drews
gonna
and
say
stuff,
that
too,
always
you
like
know?
weirded me out.
That
like,
is
That's
weird.
the look. If
like
you don't look
bad
Napoleonic,
versions.
you're not cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't look like a Cossack.
It is
Get out
kind
of
of
here.
There'll Be Blood a little bit too, actually, now that I think about it.
Oh.
No, but it's also just the idea of that they are unknowingly, I guess, or maybe I think it is unknowingly subverting his music that he loves, this Beethoven's Ninth. They are
accidentally.
They are desecrating the one thing that he holds on to.
That feels like the big Burgess point, almost that plot point right then, because he's saying generally it's like it's the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to like surgically remove these very human dark impulses, you're also going to go up. Oh my God, the beauty and poetry of human life and expression are going to baby with the bathwater out, and you're going to lose everything, including the soul, and because they're inextractable.
Yeah, exactly.
The way it is with Alex and his psyche.
You start to feel for him then, I think, because you kind of feel bad that he's going to lose that, And they say there's that line where they're like, they're trying to reform him, but they're also okay with him having that punishment. The doctor's like, well, I guess that's the part of the punishment.
Yeah,
then,
it's Beethoven's Ninth specifically. Yeah. And speaking of Beethoven's Ninth as well too, like again, going back to my favorite part of the movie, back at the home with Mr. Alexander and Julian, I think is Darth Vader's name in this movie.
He's like a gay bodyguard hunk.
Yeah, he's
like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he's a gay minder.
Is he a boarder? Is he,
He's a helper because he's handicapped now.
Right. So he's like the minder.
He's the minder. He's the minder.
Yeah. Nurse, male nurse.
Male nurse, amazing. But just there is that incredible shot, and my jaw was on the floor. Rémy, you mentioned it too. Yeah. When Alex wakes up upstairs in this almost like dollhouse room that he wakes up in as Beethoven's Ninth is blasting, and then we cut down to this amazing close up of Mr. Alexander. And it pushes back to reveal, the weird authority figures that were there. I'm not quite sure who they're political figures, maybe, who were there.
They're Ludovico representatives, probably.
Oh yeah. What's interesting is that Mr. Alexander, before learning that Alex is Alex, he was going to use him as a way to show the evils of this political regime. Yeah. That was kind of the concept, which is pretty interesting. And then, of course, that goes out the window, literally, in moments later.
It's time to Death Wish 3, Alex.
Yes. But this shot, I got to just mention it. The shot pulling back from him and revealing the big speakers blasting.
The big speakers pointed up,
blasting the Ninth, and just everyone's expressions as they're sitting there like,
And he's just like tweaking out in this like crazy state.
Yeah. It's what? Yeah. Whoa. That's
that's a beautiful, and it's like the speakers are on like the billiard table.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great composition.
And the
composition. It's kind of a low key great composition.
It's insane.
To conjure that mise en scène.
That's what we were with, and the guy with the billiard balls, and then he's there. It's this composition is incredible. It's insane.
Can I piggyback on that? Because, and these are the little things that I love about Kubrick. We're talking about this really masterful composition, right?
Yeah.
But then he follows it up by demonstrating Alex jumping out the window and saying, "I can't take this. I can't hear this music. I'm going to kill myself." So the solution that Kubrick uses in his technique here is this scrappy thing. He throws his 60 millimeter out the window.
That's so cool.
That's what you're looking at.
So awesome.
So what I'm saying is what I'm getting at is my respect for Kubrick is because he's so playful. Yeah. And he's like, he tries all kinds of things. Like he could have just been stately the whole time, but he just, like in the next scene after this, beautiful composition is this really rough punk rock thing, like the technique at the end of Slacker is the same thing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's mixing all these
mixing
like, approaches, and that's it's incredible.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of him.
And he's operating that handheld, and in that scene with the cat lady, Kubrick is operating all that.
And the scene,
it's like the best wide angle lens ever.
Right.
It is
canoptic. It's the canoptic, Marcus.
The canoptic.
It's like a 9.8. But it's also like a really fast lens, so they could use the light.
So good, man. I think what's his name? Jalowski would rock that shit from time to time, right?
Oh, like I bet.
On Silver Globe, I think he's rocking that shit.
Right.
I think he is.
It feels like that.
Yeah. All right. We do got to mention this. We teased it last week, but the Tony Hinchcliffe
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Clockwork Orange.
Hello, bag of dirt.
Yeah, right. The moment when they're demonstrating his rehabilitation, which is an interesting scene actually in and of itself, because
Love
they're
that
sort
scene.
of they are trying to demonstrate to everybody else how he is rehabilitated, and there are certain things that are going to trigger inside of him that are going to prevent him from doing evil things. And they bring out this insult comic
They bring out this
Roast master.
this roast master general with an afro pops out, and he's exactly as oh, you don't wash much, and it's the Tony Hinchcliffe of A Clockwork Orange.
Yep.
And can I just say that? And the thing is, he slaps him, and Alex can't fight back, and of course. One of the great shots, in my opinion, is the licking of the boot.
Yes.
The composition, because it's such a grotesque, insane image.
Yeah.
And it's so vivid. It's like, like he's at that. Alex is at the bottom. That's the lowest he is.
Well, it's a visual metaphor of
exactly
what he has to
lick the boots
your neck.
of the master.
Of the master. Yeah.
But I want to point out something else that this is another. Maybe I'll make it my last little detail core. Is the second half of his test, his public stage test in this black box theater, is a naked woman comes out. But this is the detail. Like, there's an incredible music cue of Wendy Carlos music.
Yes,
and all you're seeing, and all you're witnessing is a topless woman who's very attractive, and it's like very heavy. And then it cuts to that really gross sort of like Nazi-looking guard who like is really can barely control himself when he sees the beautiful naked girl. And I was just thinking, like, wow, like sex in A Clockwork Orange. Because what I'm trying to say is, a beautiful woman doesn't usually, a beautiful naked woman walking into frame isn't usually accompanied by.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rémy, can you please blow their minds just for
Well,
a second?
so that woman is my really good friend's mom. Like really, yeah. Yeah. And my friend's name is Will Bates. And he's a composer and he does amazing film scores. But his mom, her name is Virginia Bates now. But his parents met on a Hammer horror set.
They're a Hammer horror
So
couple.
yeah, she was doing Hammer horror, and his dad was So that's
and she's like the perfection of beauty.
I know.
She's like the ultimate woman.
Yeah.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I saw this movie when I was like 10, 11 years old. Like
what's happening? Yep.
No. Just like this was one of the first big times when I was like, girls.
Right.
Like boobs.
Of course.
Not just the way she looked and everything, because she was so cool, the way she was acting. And so was Short. She had this cool haircut and she's very pretty. But I remember as an adolescent, I was just like, oh yeah, girls. Like, that really is very vivid to me.
Right.
Like it was like a huge triggery boom.
Of course.
That is one of the power of this movie is that the awful things that happen, but there's still like a sexuality or something attractive going on. It makes you feel. It's complicated the way that this movie makes you feel.
It's intentional. It's intentional.
Yeah. No, definitely.
The amount of time is
Oh, that music though. Fuck, like that. When that is the main theme that you hear at the beginning, which I think is one of the 2 tracks that Wendy Carlos is accredited with writing for the film that aren't just classical. Although I do think it is an adaptation of Purcell or something. But
amazing.
He must have been shitting his pants when he got that tape. It's like, this is incredible.
I know.
That music is off the chain.
It makes it
good.
Look, let's just do a quick shout out to the soundtrack by Wendy Carlos.
I love it.
8-track.
That's so cool.
And by the way, think about this. In my Chevy van, hey, let's pop in the Clockwork Orange
soundtrack. That's wow.
Hot boxing. Hot boxing to the Clockwork Orange
right?
8-track.
Like, did that ever happen?
And
it was a huge influence too, like on the synth pop that happened later, like all those people like Human League, and they were all started off these minimal synth bands that were basically
like being
copying
boiled.
This soundtrack. Yeah,
being boiled by Human League has a hard drop of a synth.
That's
right out of
and the way it sets the tone right off the bat, like it right in the opening, like the ominous, like you were saying that, like. Just it goes so deep that it resonates.
Yeah, that music cue is the first thing you hear in the film, which is the one where the attractive girl comes up. Can we actually talk about the way this film starts? Because because that to me is very important.
Just save me a little piece for something else after, but go ahead.
You can just be like 2 minutes, just like the breakdown of it, like the analysis of it. So, and because this is so different than like 2001 or anything else he's ever done,
Oh,
or
yeah.
anything else of its time.
Yeah.
This film is boldly introducing itself and saying, "Hey, fuck you," because it's on. Here we go.
Yeah.
Like it's very you know, this film it's very cold, this film, in a strange way, even when it gets heated up.
Cold and
so it comes in,
pointless. Yeah.
right, but it like comes in with just a block of color. Dark orange, Marcus?
Yes.
Red.
Red, orange. Yeah.
Like clockwork
Orange. Right.
So just like pop, pure color,
Yeah.
like hardcore Wendy Carlos synth drop. Oh, then it cuts to the classic Kubrick close up of the Kubrick stare. Right? Because if you've never seen this film, if it came out like yesterday and you're like, oh, let's see this new movie, it's just like, what am I looking at? I'm looking at a man with one eye has, false eyelash.
Yeah.
He looks menacing.
Glam.
It's pulling out. Where is he? He's with some other guys. What are these statues of naked women?
Really scary.
As
As tables, as furniture. Yeah.
Is furniture. What are these non-English words and groovy letters? Like, what are they? They're drinking milk.
Yeah.
No, they're drinking adrenochrome, right?
Like welcome
Just
to this
drink rum.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, just like I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
doing the math,
Right,
the
totally.
way it unfolds, you're just like, it's so bold, and it's like it could be off-putting. It's like, again, because 1971 is very like harvest gold, Neil Young vibes, and this is just like so insanely.
Well, he's immediately
boldly
speaking
not
that Russian kind of slang, too,
Weird
like
dialect, yeah.
horror show and like Drenkron. Oh, he's saying all those words already. The text,
Malacco
what he's
plus.
saying is just as insane.
No,
as,
I know, but
the
Marcus, I'm
visual.
saying like if we can get into it, like what your thoughts are, like the way the film is unfolding and reveals itself to you.
But then think about the rape in the theater where he talks, and that comes right after when they're
Dude.
pulling the naked girl.
And-
No, actually, they beat up the hobo.
Yeah.
And there's that
Right,
incredible
right,
shot
right.
of the incredibly
Wide.
tall shadows.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and it's so beautifully
Yeah.
But dude,
choreographed.
that scene in the theater.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Right. I'm just saying to go from each of the so the beating up the homeless guy, then you go into the theater, and then it's this incredible wide
Yeah.
shot of this dilapidated
Yeah.
what they call a casino in England. But then the girl with her naked body being pulled, it's like shocking.
Very
By
shocking.
Led Zeppelin 2.
Yeah.
They all look like they're on Led Zeppelin 2's album cover. Yeah.
But wait. And then, dude, he can also deliver a fucking like Canon Films fight scene too, because
Yes.
it's an incredible like that's like forecasting the 80s action, like literally like that the choreography of that scene, like dusts any other fucking 70s early 70s shit, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe not
Is it
Into the
like
Dragon,
jumping through a window kind of thing.
dude. It's
like,
amazing. It's incredible.
No, they're breaking the glass over somebody's head, and just like there's
amazing.
choreographed stunt stuff, and then
Yeah.
the editing of those stunts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great. And I think that place was literally torn down like a week later.
Whoa.
Oh shit. Yeah. 'Cause
Like
it's-
it was
abandoned,
It's
yeah.
like a decrepit. You're right. Like the term is casino, but I think it's like
But like a theater kind of.
a getaway holiday, like like amusement.
Yeah, exactly.
place. Like,
And
with, like
I-
baths.
I was also going to quickly say that like everything is hyper. Like so, it's like the aesthetics are hyper visualized, extreme. The content's hyper,
Yeah.
pushed to the extreme, and then the performances are
Oh,
this
yeah.
almost like German expressionistic, like intentionally over the top performance. Which
McDowell's so good.
It's incredible.
It's a star-making turn. He was
Tour de
nobody.
force, yeah.
and somebody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
tiny detail. You guys want to riff on it? This is more Kubrick being playful and having a dynamic palette.
Yeah. Mhm.
Is he uses a very obviously fake rear projection when they're
I
driving.
love that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So great.
And that's almost like Tarantino.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it
Oh
is.
yeah.
It is.
Well,
It is.
That
He's,
kind of crap,
he's also
you know?
commenting on like the stylization of films,
Yeah.
and then when he makes that comment about the blood when he's in the thing, and he says like it's weird how
Yes.
blood when you see it on film
Yes.
or whatever. He's like it
Yeah.
seems more real than
More
it
real.
is.
Idiot.
Yeah.
And like
the
that's
colors.
like
the
right.
colors.
That's like the Kubrick like commentary. Kubrick is saying like the violence in the film.
Evan, go.
I gotta go because I want to just I'm gonna make sure we get in before we wrap things up. One other scene that I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, and I know I keep bringing up David Lynch a lot, but another Lynchian thing to me so much is Alex's mom You know, when she's knocking on the door with the purple hair and like it's just so what a crazy stylized choice, you know, to have that as the mom, right? But we have to touch on later in the back half of the film when he comes back home for the first time after being being rehabilitated, that they have a new son, okay? Which is such a funny, amazing detail. Obviously, he's the guy that's living there, but now he's ingratiated himself to kind of, you know, be the new son. And he's, you know, dressed like some sort of like, you know, I don't know, like Ronnie James Dio music video extra.
Kind of like he's kind of glam.
Yeah.
Like a kind of
It's kind of
Slade.
medieval. Yeah.
Weird, like masculine, medieval. Like,
There's a goofy song playing too. It's like, I want to live in a lighthouse, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Like trash. Mom's listening to trashy pop.
Yeah.
Actually, if, you know, that's when I feel the most sympathy for Alex, when he's hugging his stuff, his belongings,
yes,
and he just gets more and more broken down, and it's very crushing.
Yeah.
His parents are saying, "Beat it."
They don't care about him, but I think this speaks.
No,
to the
she
idea
does.
that,
The mom does.
But not really.
Not
Like
enough.
honestly,
Not
like
enough.
even in the beginning when she's like, "Honey, I got to get up for school" and stuff. It's like there is this disconnect. There's not any real like
Love
or actual connection.
Right.
And I think it speaks to the bigger theme about like this like, disconnection between generations and like the moral panic about like juvenile delinquency. The movie's also like a lot of the movies about that.
Sure.
And how society is talking about how we reform these youth and all that shit. So,
but also just in that framework of that scene of having this ridiculously absurd new son, right? And then you know the dad who's, you know, acting in kind of a stylized way, and the mom who's crying in a very heightened way. The absurdity of what their house looks like, but yet still to have like Lynchwood in a way, have all of those aesthetics so dialed in a weird left of center way, but yet making the scene so emotionally powerful still.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, that's fucking hard to do. And how many cringe ass directors try to do that? And can't fucking do that, you know?
Even get started,
Because it's like, you know, it gets too clown show, you know, very quick. But man, that scene is just great on all fronts. It works perfectly.
And that juxtaposition again with like the cartoonish, he establishes it in such a brilliant way because the disturbing, more violent nature is like so potent that when you combine those, it almost like, it's incredible.
Oh shit! I do have to say something.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
Okay, so the trailer, of course, the trailer is one of the best trailers of all time.
Yes.
It's like a film on its own.
Yes.
Some people say so it's made by our friend Pablo Ferro. Tom and I went to his house. We used to hang out with him. We took him to the Kubrick exhibit. He got spotted there. People getting pictures taken with him. Anyway, he told me a great detail that this trailer, Kubrick gave him complete control to do whatever he wanted. He said, "I don't know what to do." He's like, "You're making the trailer, Pablo, not me." Pablo, because of the way that they used film at the time, or they made movies at the time, he had to use only outtakes from the film.
Wow.
So everything you see in the trailer is not actually a shot that appears in the film, but it looks like it is because Kubrick shot so much stuff.
Right.
Awesome.
That's incredible. It's incredible. Tom,
revisit that.
Oh, and he said it's a genius. It's the man, Kubrick said that Pablo's a genius for that.
And just to be clear, you know, Pablo worked with Kubrick, did the incredible Dr. Strangelove titles.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Well,
That's right. Yep.
And Tom, you were at the Kubrick exhibit with somebody as well too, right? Who were you with?
That's right. I was at the Kubrick exhibit. I walked into the AI, that film, The Room, and I saw Kanye West blabbing and talking someone's ear off about AI.
Amazing.
And I went, all right, just another day at the office. AI is going to be like us, and we're going to be AI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kanye at the Kubrick exhibit.
Oh my God, that fucking exhibit was incredible.
All right, we did
Oh,
it.
it was amazing.
Oh my God.
We did it. That was great.
Woo, it's over? Oh my God, it's over?
Yeah. What a movie.
Oh God, what an
In
incredible
all
movie.
kinds of ways.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like again, not to cheat. I mean, we always cheat now, but it's just like for whatever reason, like I'd not seen it in so long, and because maybe it's so culturally ubiquitous, I just kind of have not revisited it, not thought much about it. Like it wouldn't be high on my Kubrick rankings. You know,
we spaced on doing it.
Yeah.
for 135 times.
And now it's like, dude, is this the best one? Like,
I mean, it's
That's what I'm
pretty.
saying.
Yeah, I think it almost
Yeah.
is.
I think it is the best one.
I think it might be.
dude, I think this is like one.
It's not like a movie from
best one, dude?
1971 that feels like
No.
No.
Yeah, it's still very fresh.
No.
I indulge me with a 2-second cheat. there's a generational thing. You were saying it's kind of like dorm core
For
kind of heading
millennials, it
poster up.
is. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So me, an older guy, this was the punk rock movie.
Yeah, right. It is.
I wore like
Right.
you go to like a record store
Yeah.
next to Sid Vicious t-shirts. There's a Clockwork Orange t-shirt.
No, I know. So
Yeah.
for me, unfortunately, it was you go to Hot Topic and, you know, next to the, you know, Freak on a Leash, you got the Clockwork Orange shirt, you know, so that's.
No, I get it. That's not as fun.
not.
And all I'm saying is what's so cool is like punk the movie that punk embraced more than any other by a mile was this 1971 movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cool.
Cool. So,
And people say that he like kind of started.
He
punk
was the
with
first
this music.
punk, some people have
Yeah.
said, you know? Yeah.
like
crazy.
Stanley Kubrick, cut to Stanley Kubrick with a mohawk. I know you're saying Alex, but
right.
I don't think it gets like wild.
I just want to
you
see
know?
that.
No, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
What's the other punk 1971 movie, you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Eraserhead, that's later though. It's
78.
78.
Later,
Yeah.
later, much
Way
Some
later.
people have
That's
pointed
more
out
like
that this
new
was
wave.
him kind of doing the youth culture movie, you know, like
Yeah.
Easy
Yeah.
Rider and all that stuff came out, and this was him being like, well, I should do a youth movie too.
But he
But further
killed
reading,
it.
everyone, if you haven't seen it, Funeral Parade of Roses,
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
to all you out there, is generally recommended.
Yeah.
But also, again, and just further reading, it greatly influenced Stanley.
Yes. Yeah, great stuff. Great
So
stuff.
it's a very cool revelation.
All right. Well, there you go.
That was a fast hour.
It was very fast. I mean,
feel
people
like-
are going to get mad. And why
They're-
is the show an hour? Look, we signed a deal with the devil long ago, and
Yeah.
that's what this is. You know, but
Like,
yeah,
come on, everybody! Don't we all love limitations out there?
yeah. Come
Life-
I only see
life is-
people saying the hour's good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Life without limitations is a big, blobby,
Yeah.
confused mess.
A Clockwork Orange wouldn't exist as it is today without
you go.
limitations of trying to make it a
There you
smaller
go.
budget movie.
Oh, yeah, right.
Boxes,
Yeah.
contexting.
So okay, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we checked that one off the list.
I know, man.
That was good.
Well, let's. Well, I guess we can't talk about next week, but unless you got it. No, I don't know if you do though. You don't got it. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Marcus's, okay. I think I know what Marcus is going to pick. Okay. But I think it's going to work best without everyone racing out to see what it is. Because I think it's going to transcend perhaps, you know, a right. That's one way of
Right.
saying it. Right. So,
Sure.
So I think what we're doing, it might not require any pre-watch as some of our other episodes normally do. But if you think you can guess what's going on with Marcus's birthday episode, the
bless you.
$200 challenge is still active in the comments.
Which look, with my birthday, that happened.
It did.
Yeah,
Somebody
it's
guessed
crazy.
the Worm Eaters.
Yes. Somebody's walking around with $200
Yeah.
because of the Worm Eaters episode.
Yeah. So yeah, fire off in the comments if you think you can guess what Marcus is going to be talking. Actually, a lot of the suggestions have been great for future episodes, so we appreciate any sort of
Yeah.
feedback. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
And do not sleep on what's up on the Patreon right now. Seriously, I got to hump this again because up on the Patreon, Tom's going to go get it. On patreon.com/onefuckinghour, we did a feature-length watch-along to Pizza Man. This is not a discussion. It's not a wrap-up or review.
It's not an hour.
It's not an hour. It's an hour and like 50 minutes of
Oh, wow.
40 minutes watching this film frame by frame with all of us together, experiencing Bill Maher's noir comedy satire for the first time together. And holy shit, how was it, guys?
It
How
was great. Featuring some of the best Michael Dukakis slams I've ever seen.
Incredible, incredible.
Yes, and it
So,
also
so relevant.
you have Bill Maher killing Donald Trump is in the film.
Yes.
What's the other Donald Trump scene?
Like Home Alone
Oh, you fucked up Donald Trump.
He
By
throws.
throwing exploding sausages at him.
Yeah, that's in the movie. Okay, you got Michael Dukakis, Dan Quayle shows up. So if you like dated political humor,
Yeah.
if you like the worst student film lighting I've ever seen in any film in history,
Zero charisma performance.
Like almost never a face. Like just shadows.
yeah, no key
you know?
lights. If you hate key lights,
I love this movie.
and truly some unbelievable anti-charisma, as Rémy said, from our leading man, Bill Maher.
Yeah.
So
Indeed. Let's put it this way. He wanted to be a leading man. This was his
A
one
leading
and done
Mar.
leading man film,
Yep.
Pizza Man. Bill Maher's the leading man, and he never was a leading man ever again. This killed his career as a
Yes.
Hollywood lead.
Yeah.
His filmography is Pizza Man,
Yeah.
Nothing,
Yeah.
and then Bill Maher as himself.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So you got to see that.
So you
The
got
real killer.
You got to see it. It was unbelievable. The only way you can do that though is up on the Patreon, patreon.com/onefuckinghour, or you can of course become a Moment of the YouTube channel. If you go to our channel homepage, click the join button, sign up there. It's $5 a month, same price, same benefits, and we appreciate you guys' support. Helps to keep the lights on here, and we have our employee who's working real hard cutting clips for us. So we appreciate him. Shout out Ian.
Doing
Thank
a
you so much.
bang up job, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right? How about that new clip, huh?
Very cool. Now, if people wanted to look at just a succession of his little
Work?
edits from the show,
Yes.
just go on Instagram, right?
You can go on Instagram Reels. I mean, most of our posts now these days are only Reels, but he does the Reels, and then he also does the YouTube Shorts. So if you're watching the Shorts feed on YouTube, they're all Ian's work. Shout out Ian, thank you so much. He knows
Yes.
great taste and
Thanks, man.
good stuff. All right, so I think that's it. So stay tuned for Marcus's birthday surprise. And then, guys, I mean, I guess
More surprises.
more surprises around the bend. I guess we can't leave everybody without their
Moment
of Zen. And we'll get that fired up. So yeah, Moment of Zen. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Rémy, we can have your dad send in a testimonial about Clockwork Orange, and that can be our moment.
Oh my God.
Little real-time overtime with your dad.
I want him displaying the
Yeah,
Jesus.
the Jesus.
chorus,
Okay.
Okay. That's the moment. Here
like
we go.
exhibiting it, showing it off.
Here. Perfect.
We'll,
All right.
we'll get him to that.
We'll get him to do that. Yeah, tomorrow. Yes. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much, and have a good rest of your week. And we will see you on the flip side. Marcus's birthday. All right, everybody. Take care. See you later.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Rated R.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.